Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm glad you can make it. Today I wanted to play something that I haven't played in a very long time, and I felt like making a couple modifications to make it work. So we have some classic shield wall, and if you played during the Master Mirror expansion when that was fresh, you'll know exactly what I mean. We have, I think, maybe one card from Price of Power in this one here, and it just sort of rounds it out, and I wanted to see if it makes it viable. Obviously we have a bunch of crazy little engines that are just going to add up to a ton of points. I wanted to bring back Visigoda of Corvo, and I wanted to, just bring back the triple duel thing, and honestly it paid off a little bit better than I thought it would in this case. So first matchup, we have monsters here, and we'll just play it slow. Frost is making a real comeback lately. Again, we don't have a lot of direct control with exception to the duels. I did put in 2 boiling oils instead of the traditional one. I felt like it was pretty good in this case. And we'll just kind of throw a drummer down there. You got to get crew on those boats no matter what, guys, because we want to make sure the passive ability that refreshes every single turn, and we're getting those volunteers on the row. Huge points, but that's not too bad. Like, we can just click and then maybe put something down to save it. Like, we have Marines for reach. It's really not that bad at all. Keeps it online. And realistically, like right now, we're getting up to about 3 points per turn just off of our engines alone, and we've yet to really establish much, board state. I feel like we could push a little bit here. We'll take the Thin with the Dun banners and then probably look for a pass. I think with the Frost just going on for so long, it's going to be very hard for us to get ahead here. They have, 2 active and 1 passive engines on the side of the board, and this is just going to put it out of reach probably. So, without having spent a lot in this case, we can look at defending the bleed in round 2, and that's just fine. The only other thing I would consider playing here would be like an amphibious, just because we do have the reach. But again, with all the frost, I don't think it's enough to get us ahead. And I'm trying to do some mental math here. It's hard to kind of guess when it's not right in front of you, but it just looks like we're too far out and it's not worth it. I'm thinking that they're looking for the temple pass with the Imlerith, and I don't want to be caught, so let's just get out of the round. It's nice to see that we get the leader charges out of the way, especially for when they went on blue. They were really concerned about just, keeping a lot of points and having room to get out of the round. I think they might have overcommitted at that point, but, I guess they were respecting the tempo that we had, and this guard here is going to make it actually very good. I didn't want to go Inspired Zeal Leader because I feel like the duels just get so much more value with Shield Wall, especially Corvo as well. Like, there's several cards that get really good Shield Wall value, but that's why we teched in some of the 4P bronzes to help give Zeal to our units, just so that we don't have to make a leader ability just for it. And I'm going to sit here and respect the Apparent Phantom and just get rid of that off the get-go. Goodbye. We have a little bit of protection from the Frost that they want to push here. Obviously, they have to reevaluate the situation. With 7 cards in hand, it would be a good pass if they're looking for one. Otherwise, we're going to try and really, push it so that we're a card up on them. Because it would be really nice if they played Mamuna, for example, and we had reach for the Baron to reset that. That would be potentially a win condition there. Now, the frigates are really good. I would imagine if I was playing against Skellige, or if I was playing against, let's say like Nature's Gift, Scoia'tael, or even just Scoia'tael in general, the frigates would not really be the best card to have out there, because it's a really good trade for like a rebuke. But again, we're playing this one for the throwback, and we're just trying to see if we can get a good couple games with it. You could opt for just like other substitutions. There's no shortage of them, right? Nilfgaard's full of good engines in the 4 to 6 provision. I mean, obviously mages are more of the meta right now, but you get tired of seeing them, you get tired of playing them, so... And that's a huge trade up. The Toad Prince actually slaps. If you guys haven't checked out my recent deck with Overwhelming Hunger. It was a Death Wish deck. Check that one out. I posted it just a few days ago, and Toad Prince is the MVP. So they've exhausted most of their Frost here. We're giving them card back, but again, we're staying in this one here. We got the 2 engines out there. Couple leader charges. There is a consideration to dunk Anna on the back row and put that on the Tridom. Leader charge it as well. Anna Stringer used to be the MVP, man. Like, that was just a different time in Gwent. And what's nice that it'll actually take the damage off of the shield here for the Frost. And I guess they look at that, you know, they respect that. So I like to see Auburn come out in round 2. It gives them a little bit less for round 3, and that makes me feel like we could probably afford to just dunk out Corvo here. And I kind of want to protect it. It's a valuable card. A pass on that's not a big deal. This hurts. Like, having gotten a pass like right here, it's too good, you know, it's too good for them. Like, they're getting a pretty good trade. However, that's just fine. I think that it's most important to keep our last card in hand there, because that's going to help us sort of rotate cards a little bit more effectively, and I felt like it would probably be a bit better than the duel in a short round 3, especially since we had no leader charges available. You know, it feels like something I'd rather just kind of tuck away. Defender's good to see here. And Defender was one of those things where I contemplated, do we keep the Defender, do we just swap it for a Shanny, do we swap it for a Dahlia, just make a bit of room, maybe drop one of the frigates. It was a really tough spot, but I realized that we have a lot of cards that we need to keep alive, right? The whole engine assembly with the Tridoms, with the Anna, with the Drummers, with the, you know, Corvo, if we can get that down. All the sheer greed that we have, like, if we're gonna put a Defender in a list, this is probably one of the decks you just want to do that with. And what's really cool is we get to play the card, put that down, and now we got obviously some extra value from that, right? Because the crew is created with the soldiers that we have, and then even better, we just tuck down Varaxis here on the range row. I've noticed one of the big problems with Shield Wall in the past was like the consistency with drawing. Now, the Dun Banners were obviously good for thinning, and then you had the Amphibious, but a lot of the cards really wanted Devotion. And, you know, you don't really want to sacrifice Devotion because it's just, I would say, that much better. So in this event, we're able to have that one extra card that helps pull cards from the deck, and I think that's really valuable. And we'll just take that, I think, for the most points. Alright, moving on to game 2, we got Nilfgaard Double Cross. This was one that I was actually very excited about because it's sort of a testament to see, is our deck going to work? You know, we have one of the strongest decks in the game right now against us. I mean, there's different variations of the Assimilate and whatnot, but we know it's going to be a handful with Terra Nova, all the different spying, so here's the real test. And I think if there's one matchup that Nilfgaard really likes, it would be like a Northern Realms matchup, because like every single thing we're playing is some sort of engine, and they're just going to be able to get phenomenal value on that. And even the frigates, we learned back in the Master Mirror days that the frigates were super bad, like if they copied these, because they have so many soldiers within Nilfgaard that it really kind of isn't great for us. We'll be able to tell real quick if they're devotion based on what they do with this next turn, right? If it boosts by 4, we know, okay, it's devotion. Otherwise, we might be able to kind of prepare for like a surprise heat wave or something like that. Looking for that zeal just in case. I like this card, the support, because we get the boost on deploy, so we can feed that into, like, let's say a Tridum, or we can put it into something else like a drummer if it's damaged or something to keep it alive. But then the zeal is what really helps, and that would be good for like a duel, for a Baron, you know, for just about anything, another frigate. There's a lot of things that we could really benefit from. Even, for example, if we had to use like a city guard and push back something, we can get the zeal on that order. We'll just get that right away, right? So they go ahead and they take their fins here. And it's a lot of points, but again, our deck's starting to work nicely here. We can start to look at, you know, putting down something like the drummer. Yeah, that's fine. And I don't really know if the drummer got a buff. I guess it's a bit better for base power instead of 3. You know, it's pretty well the same way to kill it, but at least we have the extra point on the board. I think 3 was way too power crept.
And if I insert a needle here, what then?
Now, there's not like a lot of cards that we want to play from our hand here, so I'm going ahead and taking the Amphibious just so that we have a little bit of space and time to decide if we want to continue with the round here. Obviously, want to respect, you know, any sort of temple that they might have, so let's just go ahead and give the zeal to the frigate, get the extra one online, and this is going to probably exactly provoke them to pass. I don't really want them to have access to a frigate later on, so I just wanted to get those out of the deck. Plus, if we're jamming everything behind a defender, hopefully, like, hoping that they don't take that away, we want to make sure we don't have a frigate on the back row as well, because then it just gets kind of ugly with row management. It's kind of one of those things. We have a pretty good hand. However, yeah, it's not getting much better. It's kind of a liability without the defender. However, I haven't really seen many commitments from them, so it's one of those things where I'm trying to decide if we want to play into this a bit. Really, that's like the only thing that I was missing, so I figure, you know what, let's just jam this, jam Corvo. They have so many create and plays that if, you know, they keep spawning create and play cards, the Corvo is just going to get massive, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I felt like it was going to be really good in the matchup, at least if it sticks. Again, we saw that heat wave come out, so that's kind of a nice trade. This is just sheer greed. Again, a tricky spot to be in, but they're not really, you know, matching the same sort of pace that we have. And seeing that come out right here, we know that defender's out of the equation, right? The heat wave's out of the way. That's not a bad trade. But if they get another frigate next turn and it's full power, they can have 2 frigates going around, and that's just going to be awful. There's no way for us to remove that right away on this turn. So it just makes sense to pass here. You see just 1 click away, and that's about it. And again, it's a little bit concerning to me that we've only seen 1 really strong card from them, which would be the Heat Wave. And of course, they have everything left and leader. So we have to really depend on what we've got left over. I kind of like the fact that we have Baron for a nice hard reset on maybe if they have a Joachim. Of course, the couple duels are going to help, but the bronzes really need to carry because our hand's about half bronze right now. And yeah, we're sinking all of our bets into Tridums here.
A bit of bloodletting.
And one thing that's, you know, not necessarily good about the deck that we're playing here is that it takes a lot of time to set up. Like, a lot of time. You see, like, in this case, we can't even give this Zeal. We got to put it down, and then, you know, we have to put down maybe the Anna, and then we got to put down the Tridum. It's going to take several turns to get, like, the combo going. But the satisfaction of when it does happen, you know, it's really, really, really satisfying. Like, when you get that full assembly line going, and it's pretty well unstoppable. It's kind of why you play the deck, really. And I just want to get that online fast. You know, it helps make it a little bit easier with this new edition. However, it's one of those things that can just jam up that road pretty well. The Snipe of the Sentry. You gotta love that play. Like, the only time it backfires on them, now they got both Tridums online. We know that they're gonna clog it up eventually, which really sucks for us here. This is why the Defender would have been so valuable. And putting out the Selkirk like that just feels so wrong, but again, that little soft bleed round 2, I was really trying to get something out of Panic and we just didn't see it. So now we're kind of facing the consequences, and I don't think that you'll always get so fortunate. I think a lot of times on the ladder they're probably going to test you a little bit more in round 2, but either way you just take it and you roll with it. Little mistake there. Baron should have been placed beside it on the far left, because then we would have got the extra damage, if I'm not mistaken, from the crew claws here. It happens. Like, I was starting to get a little bit impatient, just sort of putting cards down, because I felt like it was in the bag for them, and we didn't have a chance, and I was really just trying to just put cards down, really. But yeah, the 2 points would have made a difference, I think. So if we did lose by the 2 points, that would have been why in this case. And, you know, consideration to take an early reset here with the Baron, just because otherwise we might not be able to get, you know, access to that. Maybe they lock it, maybe they take Yen's Invo, whatever the case, who knows. So just use it here before it's too late.
Do I enjoy torture? Perhaps a bit.
And a little bit of a concern for if we put down the Dunbanners. I mean, we'll get the boost on it regardless when we play it, won't we? But I'd prefer just to have it on range row, fill up the range row so they can't clog us even more back there, and of course. And so I'm catching myself here. There you go. That would have been the time where I realized that the Baron was misplayed. Now that extra value just from playing these, even though we bricked the thinning package, is just really big, because we're able to play both of those from hand in one turn, so it's pretty well the same thing. Makes up for the brick, but then we got 2 damage, you know, on their side for each one that we played, so back row's full, we gotta play on melee, and at this point, it really comes down to what they play, right? They have 1 bleeding on their side, they have the 1 point from the drummer, they have, looks like 4 assimilate engines, and then you have just a ton of points off Lydia, right? Leave it to RNG. Fortunately, it's just the 4. And we gotta make sure we don't misplay, because I know that with the whole Baron play, I'm thinking about it, trust me. You know, we know it's gonna cost us the game if we don't play it right here, so boom, on the Tridum, and seals the deal. Would have been a 5-point lead instead of a 3-point lead if we would have made that other, you know, change up. We managed to get out of that one, so I'm happy about it. Third matchup, this is going to be interesting because Battle Trance packs tons of points. So if we're able to beat Battle Trance, I'm feeling pretty good. Again, it's not the super control heavy Skellige that's going around. I'd like to see how that matchup goes, but I would just imagine, you know, based on past experiences with playing Skellige against Shield Wall, Skellige I feel more comfortable playing just because there's so many engines that we get such a trade up when we remove. But here we go. We have to worry about the round 1 tempo that they have here, because if they can get their discards out properly, it's a lot of points to keep up with. And when I look at just like measly drummers and, you know, tridems and all those really slow cards to start, it's really, again, it's going to take some time to set up shop here. By the way, guys, we hit 800 subs on the channel, so thank you guys for supporting the cause. It's been a huge couple weeks of growth, and I'm really excited about kind of how the channel's going and, you know, what's yet to come for it. So if you guys are new to the channel, stick around and catch more of my uploads. I'm uploading every single day right now, doing scheduled uploads for 4 a.m. Eastern time, so you can expect something then. But I'm having a good time doing it, so... Drummer goes down. And I'm starting to think they're missing cards, right? Because where's the Coral? Where's the Burna? Leader's already spent, so... This is why we just jam Anna Strenger here. We want to get the most value possible, and you know, Anna's a great card, but... we want it to play for, you know, 3 or 4 turns minimum, right? And if we can just sandwich in those tridems, it's going to be super difficult for them to get out of this round. Like, if they play slow here and don't respect what we have going on, it's going to get difficult. So, again, I like to see plays like that. Just putting down points. 6 points, no engines. Leave the engines to us, right? And so now we worked our way up to... Okay, let's do a count. On the drummer, on the tridem, that's 2 passive points, plus the Anna is 3-4, plus that is 5, plus the far right, the city guard, that's 6 passive points per turn that we've accumulated at this point. And now we have point slams. So we can get John into Amphibious, we could do the 2 Marines, like, we're feeling pretty good. And we can even get that extra boost from the seat support there. Like, it's going to be a very difficult turn to keep up with. Late Coral, I think that maybe they were trying to save that for when the hand got a bit better, maybe in round 2 or something like that. It's hard to tell, really, at this point. I know they went first, so they wanted something maybe a bit proactive, so... maybe that's why the Maxi went down. And they probably didn't want to draw into the Crow Mother. So I guess it makes sense why they would sort of mid to late round Coral. That's a little bit confusing to me. Maybe they just drew into Giga off the... It's possible, actually. We'll never know. But you think that otherwise they want to remove the Anna a bit quicker. Fetching in the deck here, honestly, Anna goes. Let's just throw in a drummer. Keep the chain going, and this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, this is the most interesting payoff for me. Like, this is what I played the deck today to accomplish. Is just this tidy little back row here, just generating enormous points for really inexpensive cards. And I feel like we can just pretty well go all the way with this one here, because we saw Giga Scorpion come out, so we know that what they're gonna heat wave, I guess, the Selkirk if we play it. That's fine. That's a huge play. Seeing Fukushia round 1 is massive. And if they played that there, then that tells me, man, there's got to be something even better that we've yet to see, right? So we can actually, we don't necessarily need that, but you know, we can give it, yeah, it keeps us in the round. If I was to shield it here, though, we could take off the Svalbard Priest, and that's probably our best removal. Why not? Keeps us ahead, keeps us in the race. I'm pushing here because I want to see a heat wave. I want to see a scenario. I want to see something misplayed or just played because it has to be played. You know, every time that we play against anyone, if they have the chance to do it, they're going to push us, so it's our turn. It's our turn to strike back. So there's the full leader commitment, that's great. A lot of points, but again, if we just greed off the Tridom, we get that extra damage there, and then we can just negate the rain. It's still not enough points.
May Mordon Freya watch us and keep us. Oh, how wonderful!
And Mushy Truffle carryover is gone. That's awesome. I'm trying to see if I misplayed here because after I did it in the match, I felt like we didn't have to. So on the pass, we're getting... So my argument was, did we even need to use the leader charge? Because that would have given us an extra 3 points. Yeah, we needed to, right? Otherwise it would have been a tie. Okay. With a hand like this, we could just force it, right? It's a little bit awkward because we have no bronzes in hand to play, so do we tuck it back? That's kind of what I'm thinking of here. We gotta pull a bronze. Yeah, it goes. So they played Gigascorpion twice. I'm feeling pretty good about them not being able to get that a third time. I can't really think of a way how they're gonna pull that, so you can just put that down for 4. Don't use the shield yet, just in case we want to get out of the round. And fitting packages, you know, that's whatever. We can still play around that. We want to see Gedenith or just some sort of game finisher play. And I'm still thinking, okay, what if they went ahead and they played another druid? Like, what if they had another Crow Clan creature, right? It would spawn the last card. We're going all in with it. It felt pretty good. I was going to take up the Dumb Banner and boost it, but obviously we had that game in our pockets, so... Moving on to the last game for today, this one's Precision Strike. There's so many variants of this deck going around that I don't even know what it's going to be. It could be the orbs, it could be just no unit, which is probably the worst for us. It could be, you know, Shiru, who knows, right? And it's really difficult. I'm like really concerned about getting engines established here when all of our cards that we're going to be playing are going down at like 3 or 4 power, 4 or 5 power, right? And if you're wondering why I put Lamp in the deck instead of like a tactical advantage, you could do either. I just felt like I wanted to have something like, if I was to put out, you know, an Anna or a drummer early and I didn't really have like a frigate, for example, I could just start boosting something right away. Otherwise it gets kind of awkward when you have just like, you know, that one unit sitting there and not boosting anything. It's not really great. Scenario goes down round 1. I'm starting to think it's some sort of weird trap thing. Who knows? And we're getting waylaid. Basically, we're getting waylaid. That's it, right? You've seen the decks that are going around with people playing 6, 8 waylays. You don't play that card if you're not going to start waylaying. But at the end of the day, it's hard to tell because you know, they have precision strikes. So more than often, I'll see that with like the Deadeye Ambush leader, but who knows? We're in a spot where we have to really respect the tempo because they're going to start getting a lot of points off that scenario pretty soon. I'm boosting this up so that they don't get a first waylay off. So when they try to finish the scenario, they're going to have to get leader charges out here if they're going to try and make it clean. And we just know it's going to be super difficult to keep tempo with this, so we're looking for a pass as soon as possible. Even though it only plays for 3 damage, it's still playing for 6, and, you know, they get the extra Deadeye on the backside. So, I mean, yeah, 2 leader pings would have kept them ahead, but fortunately... There we go. They would have had full spin leader, actually, in that case. Otherwise, our engine would have just boosted on turn end.
Ugh, stop gurgling like that.
And if you guys have any sort of like suggestions on what you want to see or what you want to see rejuvenated, for example, let me know in the comments. I'm always down to try new things. I was trying to make something to respond to one of the comments that I saw the other day regarding like a Redea Elves list, and I've yet to figure out the recipe for that one. So I might have another crack at it, but I was getting kind of frustrated because there's so many cards that you want to play in pairs, and not having access to pairs is just tricky. So it felt difficult, and I feel like a lot of the Scoia'tael decks right now aren't really playable when you're not using Simlas. So you really lose on that part of it when you're running like a no dupe deck. So we'll see. If I get inspired over the next couple days, we'll try again. But I like to make decks that have some merit in the meta. Like, they can win games. I'm not necessarily saying that like everything that we make is like super meta tryhard, but if I can't win any games, it's frustrating, right? And I'm sure you guys would be pretty frustrated too. But I do have a good idea for a meme that I'm going to be working on soon. It was inspired by the Congregate video that I posted yesterday, so we'll see if I get to post that one soon. And we take the dime better on the pass just because, you know, we can take that thing with Tritum, or with the drummer. It's not a big deal there, right? I figure that's not a card that's going to really last in round 3, nor do we want in round 3, so it's just probably better to tuck it away. And we're drawing into most of what we want here. I don't feel too bad about that. If they can get around the defender, we're in trouble, because I really want Corvo to stick. Like, a heat wave would be horrible, right?
May your sword and arm be one.
I think that's kind of nice. No hesitation, just tech around some weird road damage nonsense, right? Or just a heat wave and whatever else they got.
Illusions. You've yet to see what
So that's an issue. We gotta respect that back row, right? The sorceress is gonna get out of hand if we don't remove it. So, you know, on Seiya's good trade. Believe it or not, we could spend 10 provisions to take out something at 6, and it feels good. That's how strong the new cards they printed are. It's crazy. Kind of weird how they didn't go for the death blow on the front card, but the brick kind of makes up for it, right? And, you know, I'm trying to greed this out as much as possible. Like, we want to keep the defender alive, but I also want to save a bunch of charges on this this Corvo for you guys, because, like, you know, when I'm recording these games, I'm also thinking, okay, what's going to be, like, sick? What's going to be awesome? So, like, I really want to just stack up these Corvo charges and, like, have, like, a good, solid Tritum finisher here, right? Because even when we go for the Raffords, like, the probability of us pulling into a Tritum after is really strong, so
I'll give them 2 days before they...
and we'll just put it there so we can establish crew, maybe Marine to the side of it on the left. I feel like the frigate at this point isn't the priority because it just feels a little bit slow. The payoff's not where I need it to be. And looking back at this turn in itself almost costed me the game. We knew that we were going to get waylaid. However, I felt like I could greet it for that one extra turn, and it was not the line. So if you find you're trying this deck, for example, and you're playing into this matchup, I'm recommending that you strongly put Viraxis King on melee, reset the duel as soon as possible, and get rid of this Whisperer like immediately, because it costed us so many points. And like, I'm not even joking, I wanted to escape, enter, and just go next because it was tilting. So you can experience this with me as I relive it. Just look at that. Like, this could have all been prevented. And also, greeting Corvo, we lost 14 points of boost and then tried him. So that was like really, really infuriating for us. And suddenly, the frigate seems like a great card, you know? I just put the frigate there because we want to play around rebukes and things like that.
Grow, my beauty. Reach high into the sky.
And, you know, it's one of those things here where we can reset it's probably better to get this engine established here and reset that. Perfect placement would have been putting the Trident beside the Raffords, but because Anna was in that spot and because I was kind of banking on Frigate to live like we needed it to live, we lost the 2 points there, but I secured the points within the Frigate. So it's one of those things, like, if we knew, if it was like an open deck list, you could play a little bit differently in that situation. I just wanted to be certain. And, you know, the game's looking alright at this point, right? Anna's doing, you know, what we needed. It's turn off line here, but we can always just look at... do the self reset even. Like the heal reset, or just even play for points and get the extra damage. That's just fine too, because we got the 2 off it, plus the 2 it does is 4. If we played it on melee, it wouldn't have been as good. So then that just keeps it hard. And to duel out the 6 is going to be the best duel that we had. And Gord should not be enough in this case. 58 points plus the 1 from there. So we won by 1 point.